My name is Grandma Shirley, and I work at Woodlawn Elementary, first grade. And the name of my book is Sophie's Squash. All right. One bright fall day, Sophie chose a squash at the farmer's market. Her parents planned to serve it for supper, but Sophie had other ideas. It was just the right size to hold in her arms. At home, Sophie used markers to give her squash a face. Then she wrapped it in a blanket and rocked it to sleep. After that, Bernie went everywhere with Sophie, to story time at the library, to visit other squash at the farmer's market, to practice somersaults by the garden. Every night, Sophie gave Bernice a bottle, a hug, and a kiss. Well, we did hope she loved vegetables, Sophie's mother told her father. Shh, Sophie said. Bernice is sleeping. Sweet pea, Sophie's mother said one morning as they made blueberry waffles. Bernice is a squash, not a friend. If we don't eat her soon, she'll get mushy and gross. Let's bake her with marshmallows. Won't that taste yummy? Don't listen, Bernice, Sophie cried. Can't keep my book. Thanks, Sophie. That afternoon, Sophie's father took her shopping. Sugar beets, he said. Bernice is a squash. Why don't you pick a nice toy to play with instead? But the trucks were too hard and the dolls were too soft. Sophie cluttered Bernice tightly. No thanks, she said. I have everything I need. After supper, Sophie's parents called a family meeting. Bernice wrapped in Sophie's lap. Why don't we donate Bernice to the food pantry before she rots? Her father suggested. Sophie shook her head. Bernice will last forever. Bernice seems a little bit upset, said Sophie's dad on the way to the library one day. She looks perfect to me, Sophie replied. At story time, some kids pointed and stirred. What's that spotty thing? A boy asked. Her name is Bernice, and she's a squash, Sophie said, with freckles. Maybe Bernice should stay home next time, Sophie's mom suggested. Why? Sophie asked. She wasn't the one being rude. Still, as winter neared, Sophie noticed changes. Bernice seemed softer, and her somersaults lacked their usual style. Visiting friends will cheer you up, Sophie said. At the farmer's market, squash were everywhere. Firm, shiny squash. What keeps a squash healthy? Sophie asked the farmer. It's simple, really, he said. Fresh air, good clean dirt, and a little love. Well, Sophie thought, I have all of that. At home, Sophie cleared leaves from Bernice's favorite spot. She made a bed of soft soil, tucked Bernice in, and kissed her good night. Get better soon, she whispered. That night, while Sophie slept, the wind whistled and tiny snowflakes fell. When she awoke, the world was covered in white. Do you think Bernice is cold out there? Sophie asked her mother. I'm sure she's warm and cozy under her snow blanket, her mother replied. Sophie gazed out the window all morning. She was still there in the afternoon when her father came home with a surprise. You need a new friend, he said. Ace was nice, but boring. He just swam around and around in his bowl. But during the long winter, Sophie discovered that Ace was a superb silent reader who did fabulous flips, turns, and he always listened politely when she talked about Bernice. Bernice was just at keeping, Bernice was great at keeping secrets. When the snow finally melted, Sophie rushed to the garden. The only thing there was a small green sprout. It looked strangely familiar. Bernice, Sophie said, how was your winter? After that, Sophie, Ace, and Bernice ate lunch together every day. One bright summer morning, Sophie somersaulted across her yard, landed by the garden, and stirred in disbelief. Bernice had grown into two tiny squash. Wow, Sophie told them. You look just like your mom. Soon, Bonnie and Baxter were just the right size for Sophie to hold in her arms and bounce on her knee, just the right size to love. Okay, that's the end of that one. Just go straight to the other one?
Yeah, sure. Just introduce it the same
Just,
way.
okay.
And then, yeah.
Say my name and everything again, or just?
I think, yeah, I guess just in case.
Okay. I'm Grandma Shirley. I work at Woodlawn Elementary School. And this book is After the Fall. How many of y'all uh, remember Humpty Dumpty, how he fell? Well, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. He's going to get up again in this story. After Fall, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. A story by Dan Sannett. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I love being close to the birds. Then one day I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. Well, most of me. They put most of me back together. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. I walked past the wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then one day an idea flew by. I wonder what that was. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches, but day after day I kept trying and trying until I got it just right. My plane was perfect and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. They always do. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall, but the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. I didn't look up, I didn't look down. I just kept climbing, one step at a time, until I was no longer afraid. Let's see here, this is the page. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Hopefully, you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. This page is dead. Oh, I thought that was. And learned how to fly. Got back up, learned how to fly. The end.